Yeah, just briefly to tell you about Renew Wales, Adfywio Cymru. Our strapline is supporting people to take enterprise and action on climate change and sustainability. So in terms of climate change, obviously, I'm sure we all know what that means by now, but supporting people to live more sustainably in general as well. Enterprising, that element is allowing people to do it for themselves and wanting to do it for themselves. We're not just sitting around waiting for someone else, for government or for big business or authorities to do something, but people are solving the problems themselves by just getting on with it. And then the people supporting people element is what we're all about, really, is that we get from those who've already taken action to help those who are wanting to do something now. You know, it's sort of to help, it sort of builds the capacity both of the people who are receiving the support and the ones who are giving it, and it strengthens local networks of people. So just really briefly who we are, we're a programme of Development Trust Association Wales. We've been going since 2012 and we are funded through the National Lottery Community Fund, through the Sustainable Steps programme, which is the dormant bank account. So it isn't sort of actual week in, week out lottery players, but it's from dormant bank accounts. In a nutshell, our programme works like this. So we have conversations with groups, with community groups. We have about 20 coordinators that are based all around Wales in third sector organisations, and they meet with interested groups. It can be either the coordinators go out and seek those groups, or the groups come to them because they know them through their networks. And they have a conversation with them about their work, what matters to them, and any questions and things that they're after. And then we facilitate an action plan. This is often to sort of help people through the planning process, helps them maybe focus down on something. There's lots of groups who've got lots and lots of ideas and they're just never quite sure which one to start on, which direction to go. And then, as I said, we then put them in touch with people who've already done it. So we've got a pool of mentors, as well as the pool of coordinators. We've got a pool of mentors all across Wales who have different expertise in different issues. So we share the expertise. They come alongside the group and can help. It's not about doing things for the group. It's about supporting them, building their capacity and helping them to progress. The support is free to the groups. It's us that pay the mentors' times and the coordinators' time, and that money then goes through to that third sector organisation that they are hosted by. So we know that the information that we give and the support that we give is very practical and very specific to what people are trying to do. So what I want to do for the rest of the presentation is to give you some examples of what this looks like. Basically, it's people doing stuff in their community. It's as simple as that, really, you know, with an eye on future generations and for improving the world around us. People have taken action on a huge variety of things, on things to do with energy, to do with land and nature, transport, waste, growing, raising awareness, and food. I've got some sort of specific examples here. So this one is Women Connect First in a charity in the Riverside in Cardiff, and they support women from ethnic minorities in a huge variety of ways. Climate change this is a very interesting group. Climate change is a very real consequence and issue for a lot of the women that they work with. Some of them have fled from countries that are already suffering from climate change. So it's an issue that the organisation as a whole is really concerned with. So they came to us for support. They've undertaken a energy survey of their building, so including water and waste in that as well. And when funding allows, they will be implementing a lot of the things that came out of that. I think most of the time the energy surveys that get done in partnership with us will look at some really quick, easy wins, no cost things for people, and then there'll be maybe more costly sort of upgrades of boilers or solar panels and that kind of thing. But the other thing that was interesting about this group, they held some classes. They held a series of workshops. You can see a photograph there in the top right corner. Climate change awareness and exploration courses. And they had lots of people, and they came in and they had sessions on food, on clothing, sustainable fashion and clothing, which is an interesting angle, which I don't know about you, but you know, we don't hear about very often. and the fashion industry and cleaning and stuff. So when photograph at the bottom there, they were making their own cleaning products. Aber Food Surplus in Aberystwyth does exactly what the name suggests. I don't know, perhaps some of you are quite familiar with them. I know they've had quite a lot of publicity over the last year or two for the work that they do. So they collect and distribute among community members surplus food that would otherwise be going to landfill. They offer food sharing. They've got a community fridge, also a pay-as-you-feel sort of cafe area where people who need it. But what's good about this group is they're always looking at ways of improving. So they're not happy with what they're doing. They're never content with what they're doing, and they want to develop further. So I know more recently they've had a new food composter, and they're looking at their own sort of carbon footprint as a group, as an organisation, and are using bicycles, I think it is, to go around and collect some of the food rather than a car. So they're always looking at raising awareness, educating people, and holding community events, and obviously around food, which attracts lots of people, helps that to happen. This is a group that we worked with quite a number of years ago now. We've done a lot of work with youth groups over the years, which support people to live more fulfilling lives. They generally look at lots of different schemes at the same time, but we've supported this group to do restoring disused bikes, reclaiming the parts and the materials. So these volunteers, these young people, were upskilled in learning how to do that, and were a key part of everything that they did there. And obviously then having a bike that works gives them cheap and flexible and more sustainable means of transport. Another youth group that we worked with a number of years ago, and this is always a very popular project that people ask us about all the time. I think it's one of the most watched videos on our YouTube channel, or well, maybe not the most watched, but considering this is about 3-4 years old now, it is still getting regular views on there. So this is, near Pontypridd. This is a digital bench. So it's a solar powered public access phone charging point. So the original problem, if you want to call it that, is that the young people came up with, what they were trying to solve was how do they charge their phones when they're out and about, when they're not in a building. They'd already done sort of stuff around pallets, building things for their garden out of pallets. And so they thought, oh, well, let's do something involving recycled wood. And then they sort of just built from there, really. Our mentor came alongside them and worked up some of their ideas. So they realized they needed there to be a seat because charging obviously takes time. They built a roof. And then they thought it could be somewhere that the homeless people could come as a shelter as well. And then they've there's rainwater harvesting being collected off the pipe there coming down. They've planted some herbs and fruit and vegetables in the garden as well. So there's some sort of food for people. So they've taken what started off as just we want to charge our phones, and have gone, really well with trying to tackle lots and lots of different issues. It is a great example of how creative young people can be, and the ideas that they come up with, really. Next one is still on food, is Incredible Edible Porthmadog. I'm sure lots of you have heard about the Incredible Edible movement. It's been going for a number of years now. And it's just all about engaging people, thinking what makes for a thriving, resilient and connected community. And obviously these Incredible Edible groups believe that food is a way to do that, and it certainly is. So here in Porthmadog, they're building a sense of community worth and planting, nurturing, growing, harvesting all this fresh and healthy food. And obviously people are meeting each other who perhaps wouldn't have met before, and are learning new skills, making new friends, and are just sharing good time being out in the open air. Friends of Graigwen woods near Pontypridd, 5.6 acre site of oak and beech trees. So the land became available for purchase a number of years ago and had development opportunities on it. So local people weren't happy, and they decided to do something about it. So this came out of sort of negative necessity, really. The land was going to be sold for development. So they've set up a group. And then a few years ago, a community share offer was launched. They needed 20,000 to buy the land. It was purchased in October 2018 by a local business person as a temporary measure, and they were supporting the group. They weren't going to reach their 20,000 in time, so this business person bought it for them, and then they've raised the money and have paid them back. So the objectives of the groups, obviously, first and foremost, were to safeguard from development. They want to protect the flora and the fauna there, maintain the land in its natural state, to help carbon dioxide absorption. They want to open the area up for more local people. Lots of local people weren't that aware of it, or possibly taking it for granted, as we often do. So they wanted to provide the community with an open space which will help mental and physical well-being, and just to prove accessibility, really. So they met the financial target, and they came to us. Then we supported them with a person who had expertise in sort of trees and biodiversity, and was helping them work up a plan for some small steps they could take now, and then things that they would need to do in the future to improve the biodiversity and keep it open for community use. Moving up to North Wales University of the Third Age in Rhythin. This group sort of asked their local people, would they like to reduce their environmental impact, but they weren't sure how to go about it, where they should concentrate their efforts. Do they want to know more about climate change? Would they like some support to do it? And they supported this sustainable living group. It is one of the largest, if not the largest group in the University of the Third Age in Rhythin now. So their intention there is to inspire members, and then obviously the multiplying factor through their families as well, to explore, to give them information to make a difference, really. So the group meet monthly, mixture of films and speakers, discussions, sharing members' knowledge and site visits. So far, some of the topics they've covered are shopping, fashion and ethical products. What can the individual do at home? Stuff around travel, including offsetting air travel, diesel versus petrol, electric vehicles, carbon footprinting, what is it and what tools are available, water and water quality, noise and light pollution, and they've even done stuff on ethical investments, sort of trying to encourage people to think about where they've got some money invested in banks and savings and that kind of thing. So this is a really useful and lively group. Obviously, they've had to move online over the last year, but from what I gather, it hasn't deterred them in the slightest, and they are still thriving. Further north again, Maesni in Bangor. This is the Maesgaerchen estate. It's part of the Invest Local programme, which is part of the Buildings Community Trust. So they do have a lot of money. They don't have a lot of money, they have a huge amount of money. I think it was about 10 million, I think, if I remember rightly, each community who are part of this scheme get. So again, they've lots and lots and lots of different ideas there, but they came to Renew Wales, wanted to focus on electric bikes and transport and improve the options that were there for local people, because even though they're close to Bangor, they feel quite cut off there. And obviously lots of high energy bills, prepaid meters, and wanted more information on energy efficiency in their own home. And then they wanted to build a new community centre, but wanted it to be a real iconic building. Obviously will serve the estate for generations to come, so want it all to be sustainable. They've done lots of things around a community market garden and community garden growing, just helping the community be more resilient and more self-sustainable and not so reliant on external factors, really. And a lot of intergenerational stuff as well. I think this is what's nice about this project. They've got lots of young families and young children there, and they're sharing the wealth and the knowledge that some of the older people there have got as well. I could go on. There are lots and lots and lots more, hundreds more examples. I'm not going to carry on any further, but you know, there's lots of car clubs that we support, community litter picks, community gardens. And the important thing here is that people are doing what matters to them. It's not us coming in and saying, you need to do this, you should do that. It's people coming with the original idea, maybe not sure which idea they're going to take forward first, but it's doing what matters to them and what is suited in their locality. There's a few more examples there, and it's people are more or less doing it under their own steam. They're getting some support from us, and we signpost to other organisations. Obviously, It's not that we claim the credit for most of this. We know we're a very small cog helping groups, and they get support and signposted from lots and lots of other support agencies as well. But it's like encouraging them to see what they've already got, what skills they've got, what resources they've got, and what they can do with it really, and how they can build on that, and then help share their ideas with other people. Sorry. This is just a snapshot of our map of some of the groups that we've supported. I think that's very good timing because my voice is about to give way. Thank you. Sorry, there is one thing I should have added, is that I said we've been going since 2012. We are reaching the end of our programme, and this time it will be the actual end, because the lottery have often done a rollover and an extension, but this programme is definitely finishing now, end of June next year. So in terms of, the timescales are a bit short. If there's any groups there in the Carmarthen area who want to get supported, we can do it. It's just that, I think by very early next year, things will be sort of starting to tie up loose ends and stuff. But if you know of any groups who know what they want to do, or just need a bit of support, or by all means get in touch and we can see what's possible. If we can keep things going sort of to the end as much as possible, then we certainly will. And we are hoping that, the lottery will be putting out a new scheme, and we are hoping that Renew Wales in some form or guise will exist after that, but who will be running it and whether it'll be all the same people is a completely different issue. But yeah, so we're around until June next year, and I welcome any kind of inquiries and ways that we can support people in the meantime.